Today we're talking about sadness and how to move through sadness, how to sometimes be done with sadness, sometimes allow sadness, and something else that can make sadness feel different and perhaps coexist with feeling of peace or joy. And so we will just start with understanding a little bit more about what I mean when I talk about sadness, and then we'll move to the experiential part to see how we can make this sadness really work for us, because it's actually a really important feeling. And sadness is a feeling that is very physical. It starts with the body. The body, you can, and we will go through this when we do the experiential part, but you can feel the sadness somewhere in your body. Sometimes it's associated with crying, for example, and sometimes it's your throat is choked, and there are different things that happen to us physically when we're sad. Sadness is about loss of someone, loss of something, loss of memory. Meeting a few more people, and so it is about losing something that is important to us. When sadness is mild, we go through different aspects of it. It comes and it goes. When it's more serious, maybe we don't let it go, and then it can become grief. What I learned as I read some background material about sadness that was interesting to me is that sadness is biologically generates in the body an allergic reaction. And so tears, for example, are an allergic reaction in the case of in the case of allergy for sure, but also in the case of sadness. And what happens is you're sad, and it's either something physical that happened to you, or it's someone that you lost, or some confusion that is going on, something that you can't shake, and it's associated with a loss or regret. And the body releases histamine and releases other things that are secreted when there is an allergic reaction, and then the immune system kicks in. And the immune system, and there is usually stress that is going on when the sadness starts, for sure. And so that's a body response, and the immune system kicks in, and the immune system needs a lot of resources to do its thing, to heal us. And so it puts us out of the way. It makes us sad to put us out of the way in a sense, because we slow down. We move slower. We feel low mood. We perhaps even just go to sleep, but we're certainly, it feels bad. It feels like we're shutting down. We're not able to do whatever it is that we want to do, where the immune system is actually needing all these resources to address whatever is happening, especially in the case of physical injury. But not only. So when there is physical injury, for sure, the immune system needs to start repair. And then sadness has the purpose of just allowing the body to repair through an allergic reaction that starts it. But in the case of melancholy, when something happened that puts us in a gloomy, very self-reflective mode, it's actually sharpening us. And so yeah, the this whole immune response thing with this whole allergic response thing is slowing us down, but not for the purpose of disabling us. In fact, we're becoming sharper in some respects. We start to, they say that if you want to understand what happens to somebody else, be in their place. And that's really what happens sometimes when we go into melancholy, is we are able to reflect, to be much sharper, to see that how somebody else is feeling, because we've been there, we are there, we know what it is. And so we're becoming quickly aware of what's going on with someone else and what is going on inside of us as well, how we react to something, just more aware. And then there is, the really heavy sadness, the heavy sadness that is turned into grief, that is literally causing tears and choking and sore throat and all sorts of bodily reactions that are literally allergic reactions. That's what happens in an allergic reaction. And why is that? So grief can be, it's not always, but it can be social, especially when it's short term. When you can think of grief as something that is really heavy. We feel the sadness is just hard to bear. And so it's causing these reactions that invite help. It's almost like I'm giving a signal out, I need help. And then somebody comes to help. And sometimes we want this help, sometimes we don't want this help, but this is an evolutionary reaction that we have in us to ask for social help when we're in grief. And either grief or melancholy, and there are different definitions of sadness, but they can last. And that's something that can be, for example, sorrow, when we have this deep sorrow where we can't let something go, where we feel stuck, when it can last days and weeks and months and years, and we can't let that go. And then the question is, why is this happening? And so sometimes it's good to ask the question to distinguish between the grief or the sadness that is ours versus the sadness that is in us, but is not us and is not ours. As any other feeling or emotion, sadness is a frequency, and the frequency is generated, as I described, for evolutionary reasons. It actually helps us in some ways, even though it doesn't feel good at the time, for sure. And sometimes it doesn't go away and it doesn't seem to serve a purpose, and it's time to ask, why is it here? And is it mine? And if it's mine, what do I do about it? Is there something I can do about it, especially if I don't want to stay, if I don't want it to stay? And if I want it to stay, then why do I want it to stay? Is there any belief underneath it that is causing me to say, I gotta hold on to that sadness, or I don't have a choice in the matter? And so a little more discernment about that. And if it's not mine, then what do I do about it? Because everybody has something that comes from somebody else. We're social creatures. We have our ancestral genome. We have our parents, lovers, other friends, other influential people in our life that are affecting us and are causing their energy. When we let it happen, when our boundaries are not clear, or when we simply are not, for whatever reason, in a position to resist, somebody else's energy can come into us, and it can come into us in an exchange of how people in a relationship talk to each other, and it can become in darker ways too, through what shamans would call, a curse or a spell or something that lands in you against your wishes. You don't even know about it. But all of this leads to energy in your body, sitting in you. You're either aware or not aware, but you're aware that you're uncomfortable for sure, and you don't know why, and it's sitting in the unconscious, and it's waiting for something to happen, or it really doesn't wait. There's also this, and I mentioned it before, there are parasitic influences in our life, and they might be human, they might not be human, but parasitic influences that thrive on emotions and feelings. And if something like that is in us, then it will not live on its own. It doesn't have to be a war, but it will need to be let go. Sometimes being aware is a great step forward. Once you're aware, once you know you don't want something in you, it's already the first nudge for this thing to not stay around. And there's manipulative vibe when energy that is not ours is in our body, this manipulation that says you should feel this way, or you don't have a choice in the matter. And because whatever is wanting this energy, sometimes codependency between people is causing you just have to stay. I need you to stay in this because I'm gonna basically drink your energy. I'm gonna take your energy. I'm gonna take your vitality. And so I want you to feel very strong emotion because it makes me feel more alive. And so all this is happening. What are we doing here now? We're going in ourselves, we're discerning, we're seeing what's going on, and then we're either, if it's ours, we process, we transition, we release, and if it's not ours, we simply send it out. But if it's ours, it's not something that you just get rid of. Just let's acknowledge that a feeling that came in us organically is ours to process. It's ours to process, and the processes can be different, but it's not something that we throw out. It's, if you want to do something with a feeling, then feel it. That's what feelings are for. Then feel it. And when you feel it, that's when it's released. When you feel it, it will be released. So it's not about so much the story that generated the feeling. The story is really important in the sense of bringing our awareness to this is why we feel something. But then we're feeling it because there is something already in us that is triggered by whatever happened. So that's something that is already in us. That brain always needs to be processed. And the best way to process something, whether it's right now or over time, is to let it be felt and release it from our body, which is also called letting go. And you release it by feeling it. So let's get going with an experiential. We'll go through the process. We'll go through some of the stages that I described, and we'll see how to work with the alchemical flame to release sadness.